morning to you all. Happy to see a lot of mobile app founders. So for a change, we don't call as startups, right? We call as an app founders, app designers. So cool. So here we have very interesting people with me today. And the topic is also very interesting one. I myself was very interested to understand because as a part of 50K Ventures, we have around 14 portfolio companies. In that, 4 are we funded mobile apps. So it was even very difficult for us also to take a call sometimes on valuation, but we did it because we liked other aspects and all. But sometimes few products we did on a year, some okay. But whatever we did, we don't regret. So today, let's try to understand with the experts in the panel. Before we get in detail about the topic, let's have a very overview introduction about everyone. So we have Gaurav from Buyatke.
We at Buyatke help consumers make better shopping decisions. So any kind of shopping decision that you're making, we help you with that by telling you whether it's the right time to buy the product, by showing you a price variation trend, or whether it's the best place you should buy it from by showing you price comparison across 300 portals, or whether you should use a specific card to avail a cashback or something on that sort. So any kind of consumer decision making that takes place on an e-commerce platform, may it be online commerce like online shopping per se, or say food ordering or travel ticket booking, an e-commerce transaction, we help you make a better shopping decision with that.
Right. So we also have Abhitab Jain from GSF Accelerator. They're well known for accelerating many companies across. And can you just introduce about GSF and what is a core activity?
Sure. So GSF is an early stage venture capital / accelerator firm. So we have around 42 companies on our portfolio in the last 4 batches. So we'll have the next batch next month or so. So typically we bring in 8 to 12 companies, very, very early stage companies. These are mostly pre-revenue companies, and we do the first check with them. We take them to the 4 months program, 13 weeks program. 2 months is in India, 1 month is in Valley, and 1 month typically in Germany and Japan. So we help the companies in early stage, first check. We help them in the growth strategy in terms of making them Series A ready, and that's what GSF does. So yeah.
So thanks, Abhitab. We also have Anand Paturi from Harvard Business Angels, New York. I think you can add more value in terms of talking about the global apps on the global context. So can you have a brief introduction about you and what activities you do?
Sure, yeah, good morning all. My name is Anand, so I'm sort of representing the HBS Angels of New York. We are essentially an angel network based out of New York City, all HBS grads. We have other networks across the country. And we as well have one recently established in Bangalore, I believe. So it's a network of angels. We're all from different industries. Some of us work in finance, in ventures, others across various industries, and we meet together once a month to review pitches from startups. We have a limit, at least for the New York chapter, we have a limit, an individual investment of $25,000, and we have a group investment limit of about $250,000. So I'll be sort of presenting the angel perspective on valuations and what we kind of like to see.
Sure. Thanks, Anand. Okay, moving forward, today we call it's an era of mobile apps. So earlier it was mobile app startups, but today most of the startups are trying to solve problems using the mobile apps as a medium. I also see a lot of people are trying to identify the problem areas and come up with some solutions. And the first thing what strikes is a mobile app, right? So here, a lot of people come with an idea, and when they come to the VCs or investors, when people come to us, they say, I have an app, we have 5 to 10,000 downloads, and we are looking for $1 million funding. So that's what the approach so far it has been. But let's try to understand like how these VCs or investors really buy that kind of aspect. When you started, like first thing, what made you start Buyatke, and what was the initial response until you raised your first round? Can you just throw some light on that?
We started right in a college. We are final year students and we are tinkering around an idea. And that time, the germination started in a way where we wanted to give something to a friend. It was an iPod Touch, and we could not. And there were a lot many e-commerce portals back then, so we could not find one specific destination where we could find it for the best price. So there is where the process of comparison came into place, and we started Bytecare from there. Moving forward, then when we kind of started, we had a bit of traction on the web, but we found that the users are not sticky. So we launched in a Chrome extension that helps in a lot of users. So we have a 250,000 daily active users for the Chrome extension. And apart from the Chrome extension, then we saw that a lot of mobile first companies like a Flipkart or Paytm were moving a lot towards only mobile kind of a strategy. So then we figured out how do we kind of help the consumer when he's shopping inside a Flipkart app. So if you're buying an iPhone 6s on a Flipkart app, how do you know whether it's the right time to buy, whether the price is at a higher point, or whether you can get the same product cheaper on, say, a Snapdeal, Amazon, or Paytm? So we launched an assistant around that. What it does is it understands the context that the user is on, whatever he might be doing. Even if you're ordering a pizza on Food Panda, it will tell you you should use this coupon code and you can save in money. Or if you're booking a ticket on Make My Trip, it will tell you. Or if you're ordering something in terms of on a shopping app, it will tell you. So what we have seen is a lot of engagement metrics that are looked at from VCs are around how are you benchmarked as compared to the industry standards across, right? So if Flipkart is getting across, say, 1 million downloads in a week, how many of them retain across, and if their retention numbers are somewhere around 12% or so, are you able to demonstrate a better retention metric than them? So because your kind of run through is also predicated based on how much in the same capital amount you can bring in efficiency in terms of getting in more users.
Right. So, Abhitab, you guys, as you said, like you are an early accelerator and also an attached VC firm. So you have a program across few weeks. So what exactly you look in at the applicants who specially come with a mobile app saying that we want to apply to GSF? What is your selection criteria?
So, I mean, the last batch pretty much was mobile app-based batch. We had around 8 companies. So when actually, when I look into the startups, the typical thing, obviously, what we look into is what the problem they are trying to address at that point of time. But equally important for me is in terms of the founder, how strong the co-founding team is, not just the complementary skills, but, whether the team is strong enough to go through the emotional roller coaster ride, as like, startups are pretty much roller coaster. The valuation, the accelerator model we have is, the challenge with the accelerator model valuation is we have one set of an valuation that we do because, again, 8 companies we bring in at pre-revenue stage. So there are a couple of companies which would have 2,000 downloads or, a user base or 5,000 user base, but we value them initially at somewhere like we do the first check of 50,000 at 7% equity. That is what we take it. So that is the thing that we look into is, the strong co-founding team, the product market fit that we are actually looking into and typically what is they are looking for in terms of, future vision for the company. For me, again, it's not necessary they have a monetization plan, they don't have a monetization plan, as in go forward. The accelerator, that's what the accelerators are for, in terms of helping the companies identifying the monetization plan.
Right. So Anand, you being very active investor from New York and a lot of your colleagues also do consider, and you mentioned you invested in a couple of mobile apps, right? So if someone sends his deck or pitch to you for an investment, what is your perception and what do you look before you commit an investment?
Right. So, just a disclaimer also, I have a startup myself in India that we're sort of still in development. So my introduction to the India investment valuation scene is one that also I got to understand directly. So there's a difference between the way I understand we do things in the US valuation-wise versus here. Being an angel in the U.S., we are, we rely a lot on incubators like Amitabh's and a process. There's sort of like a process for investment. And generally, there's an ecosystem of investment that the entrepreneurs enter. And we are sort of the first entry point on that. But we also look to see how knowledgeable the entrepreneur is in this process. As Amitabh mentioned, I think it's probably something a lot of entrepreneurs have heard around. We're not investing in the product or the business, so we're investing in the person, right? Because the person's going to drive the business. So the knowledge of the entrepreneur in the process and how they are able to justify whatever valuation they may be presenting to us is key. And as an angel, we may also not be so keen on okay, where are you going to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, but really understanding the micro steps. Whereas in India, I understand, there's a similar process, but there's less known about that process, and it seems as though, incubators and VC firms function more like private equity firms might function abroad in terms of term sheets, and angels over here function as kind of like VC terms. So, what I look for in my experience as an angel is really how well equipped is this entrepreneur, and more importantly, the management team. It's not just an entrepreneur. I'd feel safer investing in a management team. So the downside risk of my money is what I'm looking at. And of course, the upside we can always imagine would be great, but what is the risk associated with this investment is something that we look at as an angel.
Sure, great. So, as again, I represent an angel fund, and as I said, we invested. So, for us, we took a call on certain aspects. Like, definitely, I agree. Like, there's a combination of an app and also people who are driving that. On top of it, also looking at the overall market acceptance. So, I would like to understand from you again, what are the key parameters you consider when you valuation? So, one thing is, like you said, it's the people and their pedigree. Second thing, I want to know, does IP plays an important role? Do you feel that an app having an IP makes some kind of more valuable, or it's going to just be because in the global context, it's difficult to even file an IP? So what's your comments on that? So Gaurav, because does Valuation as an IP, or how did you deal with this?
Right. So we do have an IP in place, but in a market like internet, the speed of execution matters, right? So by the time you file an IP and run a case and all, you would be out of market. Anyone can clone out things and reverse engineer things around and out execute you, right? So your focus should be around moving things at speed and keep on innovating whatever features you have based on customer feedback that's around there. So IP, in a sense, does not play a lot of role in terms of internet kind of startups primarily if they're consumer facing. Apart from that, when you see across key what metrics would be valuable for a VC, you need to figure out what's the needle moving metric. What is something that is going to make the user come back to you? If you have that sorted and users are actually coming back to your app for that, and you just need to predicate that key, how many times would a user come back? So that kind of gives you a lifetime value metric, and that is the way you can project across. For a series A or a further round, you use that metrics and then predicate across key, if I use this money, this is how I would be going, say, a 5x or a 10x metric in the next 12 or 18 months.
Great. So Abhitab, I would like to slightly put in other question, because you screen and you have an extensive research before you accept any mobile app into your program. So how important is this customer lifetime value for an app? And what do you think in today's scenario is that life of an app?
See, eventually any business is, at the end of the day, you want to make money, right? That's what the whole idea is. And when we actually look into, the product, the customer life cycle, so what we look into is what is the user matrix in terms of active users, how many users for last month active users. And in terms of going forward, what is the value that each user will have it at the end of the day? That's how you try to calculate, make a projection. Again, valuation at a very, very early stage is more of an art than a science, in terms of it's not like a traditional DCF model where you can actually have a cash flow and it discounted back. We are trying to, be in a business where there's maybe monetization that happens, monetization not happen. So there's a lot of time, there's a gut feeling there. So you talked about the IP specifically. If there's a business which is an IP one, I'll definitely value it more than any similar kind of business where, you don't have an IP protected. Because going forward, the customer, that because of the IP and the customer and the business that would bring into the picture is much bigger than what you can have it. So again, we look into different metrics in consumer engagement over a period of time, and that's how the very, very early stage companies are valued.
Sure. So Anand, again, I would like to again ask a different one. When you're considering to invest, what matters the most? Because if you see earlier, a lot of apps came as in freemium models. They focus more on user base, downloads, and that's what they showcase. So how important are you evaluate the active users, the daily, weekly, monthly versus an exit option, right? So again, monetization point. So what are the key things you look at and what's more important and how do you see, because as you said, the lifetime value is always limited. So how do you see an exit keeping all these things in mind?
Right, that's a good question. So as an angel, again, like our perspectives are a little bit different from the incubators and VCs. Because the VCs have a fund that's associated with those investments, and that fund has a shelf life. So we as angels, we may be more flexible in terms of when we see this exit. However, there is a difference in what type of angel you are. Similar to VC investors, are you an active investor? Are you passive? Are you silent? Generally, most angels, I guess, tend to be silent, but there are active angels out there. Now, from my experience, I tend to be on the passive or silent side. So with that regard, one of my key factors is who are the others in the investment pool? See, my money is so small compared to what the entrepreneur may be looking for. So I'm going to be relying on the rest of the people in there. What types of commitment letters may already be out there. Because I may be hoping that, I'll be relying on Amitabh's evaluation process to really vet the company that I'm looking at. So that's one, is the investor pool. And two, in terms of exit, also, does the management team really understand their product to see where that exit might be? I think now, what I've personally seen in terms of the mobile app market, and I'm sure for a large part in India as well, is the exit is in many ways an acquisition by a larger company. So does your quote-unquote idea, how does it fit into the strategy or the business plan of a larger company? Those are two different questions. And a lot of entrepreneurs kind of get stuck in this thing where, oh, I've got a great idea, I've got the billion-dollar idea, and they stay focused on that, not realizing that we as investors, we're looking at downside risk of our money and quick exit, or fair exit, right? And so there may be a side option that we prefer, and so those are some of the things we look at.
Sure, great. So Abhitab, I would like to rephrase the same question. So today we see like a lot of apps, they show the traction. So is it important to have 10,000 downloads or 1,000 not paying anything, or 1,000 downloads, 500 active payers? What do you look at?
Okay. Again, you have to look into the overall business plan of that, right? So 5,000, you're saying 5,000 active users, without any monetization plan.
10,000 active users, no monetization.
Yeah.
1,000 active users, 500 active payers.
So I'll go for a 500 active payers, I'll definitely go with that. See what happens, 10,000 is the number when you start to get into the product market fit. Still you are very, very early. Series A people will not look into until unless there's 100,000 kind of users out there. So I mean, if there is somebody who's already paying it, that's the business worth investing into, definitely.
Sure. So in my perspective, all it boils down to is what is the growth rate that you can have, whether it's active or say freemium model as well, right? If with a free model you can have a much stronger growth rate, that kind of leads to possibilities that can be explored later in terms of monetization strategy.
Sure. So one last question to you, Gaurav. Like now you're in the market and business since long, and you're the one of the first mover also in this space.
Right.
So where do you see the future? Like, are there any calls for acquisition, or do you have some other product line launching very soon?
Right. So we have had an lot of acquisition offers, 7 to be precise. So and that have been from a lot of market leaders as well. So we are looking at building a big company around this, and in this, well, we already are doing a lot of sales to all these players. Typically over say 7 to 8 million USD in GMV every month to all these partner sites, and we plan to scale that up to say a 50 million GMV, that when we kind of can have a say across in terms of whatever specific coupons or anything that exclusive offers we can demand across from these players. So the idea being is to scale this up to a level where we can become a starting point where any consumer decision making is to happen for any commerce transaction. Will help the consumer with that.
Right. So one last common question for both of you. What is that one message you want to give for all those aspirants who want to build a mobile apps in the coming days? What they need to keep in mind before they come to an accelerators or an investors like you, and which help them out to avoid all those unnecessary things building an app? What is that? Amitabh, so like to.
Okay. So one message that I want to give at this point of time is don't be, I mean, too much give a thought about in terms of valuation, right? Everybody, you keep on reading the ET and, you think you can raise 1 million, which doesn't happen. It's more about, what are you working on? Are you passionate about that, that product? And, where do you want to see next couple years down the lane? Raise the money, step by step raise the money, go for an accelerator programs, and a couple of good other accelerator programs are also there, or raise angel money to sustain yourself to the team, rather than just thinking, I'll be able to raise 1 million at a 4 million valuation, otherwise I'm not going to do this product. So this is what typically I'm seeing in a lot of people, they want to start something, but, somebody has to give them money to start. Don't have that kind of an attitude, probably.
Anand, what's your message?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Amitabh hit the nail on the head. Entrepreneur or entrepreneurship, entrepreneurism has become sort of like a catch term. Now everybody's an entrepreneur. But back in the day, a lot of you are probably too young to remember the tech bust of 2000, 2001. But back then they were talking about the entrepreneurial spirit, right? And that's something that drives you regardless of what people may be saying, regardless of what your valuations are. Remember, valuations is also something that's driven by the exit market, right? The financial markets and the IPO market is a big driver of valuation. So don't be so worried about the ups and downs of it. Really understand your product. A lot of things that were being talked about in the last panel discussion about understanding your customer, what service are you providing, or what gap are you filling in. And if you just focus on that, the valuation will come, right? I think that's really the key thing. If you cannot do it, as Amitabh said, like if you're just doing it for some number valuation, I think that's a hard thing to chase.
Gaurav got something to say.
Right. So if you follow that, it boils down to a simple quote, right? It's said that कि excellence के पीछे भागो, success जग मार के पीछे आएगी. It's similarly that कि consumers को value लेकर आओ, valuation would fall into place. So you need to focus on your consumers, get in value, increase the consumer base, and valuation on all things would fall into place.
Cool. So before we close, can we take any quick 2 questions from the audience?
My name is Milind. I run a software development firm. We are headquartered in Goa. My question to you is, I read a quote saying by 2020, India would be the second largest country after US for startup businesses. And we also read these articles wherein we see that because of this, the downside of certain startups, big startups in India, the VC market is not very strong in India. So what's your take on it? So if India is growing to be the second largest startup country by 2020, how is the VC market looking like?
So I think for information, if you see the latest statistics is India is right the third fastest startup growing ecosystem in the world. And 2020 is still far, I think it's going to achieve. So who do you want to answer this question?
That would fall into place like VCs are investing money. They have become cautious in 2016. They'll again get out of the shell and start investing aggressively. So because the market is huge. Right now we are only about a quarter population of India that's online on the internet, and that accesses it once in a month. Right? A lot of them access it once in a month or twice in a month. Right? So the market opportunity is huge, and as the cost of smartphones is important
Some people go incubator after incubator. So they'll go to, example, in US, 500 startups do that incubation, then go to the second incubator, versus doing an incubation and possibly looking for an angel investment. So can you evaluate the two scenarios, which is better, how should one go about growing the mobile app or startup?
See, again, you have to look into, so similar to how, from where you want to raise the money, similar is the case which accelerator you want to get into, right? I mean, you have to have a strong connect with the team who's running the accelerator. So we have like 2 months in India, then we take them 1 month in Valley, because that's we find the really value. There's a huge learning that comes from the Valley, right? In Valley, if you go, none of the VC will ask you monetization plan. They'll ask you, how can you get me 1 million users? That's the kind of difference you have in terms of learning in India versus there in Valley. So, I mean, try to find the right accelerator. There are a couple of other accelerators are there. Find the right ones which gives you the right mentorship that you're looking for. Obviously, check the money. The money is what is important. Initially to sustain yourself for 1 year with a very small team. It has to more with what you are looking in terms of market opportunity, in terms of mentoring opportunity. So go for that accelerator. Again, people have, as you said, a couple of people do that, but again, if somebody gets in Y Combinator, that's an amazing experience might be for them if their market is specific to US. So they might want to do another accelerator.
One last question.
My question is, in Flipkart focused on gross merchandise value to evaluate itself. So is that a safe metric in today's times? It has not worked out for them. So what is the single best metric? Is it gross sales or new customer acquisition that they should focus on?
See, again, at that level, there's a lot of numbers that crunching that happens, right? It's not just the plain GMV into something like that. The correction that happened is two different VCs will value the company in a different way. So that's where the correction is happening, maybe. I mean, another VC would look at some different numbers that he wants to project. See, at the end of the day, when the valuation is what is the future cash flow you can have. So my projection might be very different than his projection.
Yeah, I think I just reflect that. Abhitab had mentioned earlier, X number of users with no monetization versus 500 revenue generation. So clearly you'd go for the 500 revenue generation because again, as an angel, as an investor, we're looking at cash in hand. Cash is king, and whether you're looking at top line or bottom line, I think what I've been hearing about all of today, in fact, even with marketing, is really just driving that customer into monetization. So, yeah.
Thanks a lot. I think we really had a lot of interesting inputs. So I think you all are available here. If someone have to have a one-on-one chat with any of them, I think that's an opportunity to have. Thank you all.
Guys, big round of applause for an exciting panel.